Hey, this is Elsa, and I have with me Jurgen Vollrath because he was in the back of a pickup truck in a parking lot in Medicine Hat, and he made a video of less than 3 minutes, and within a week, it had reached 500,000 people. It's over 900,000 reach now, over 500,000 views. So I wanted to know, what nerve had he touched? Because there are not too many videos you make on a pickup truck in a parking lot in Medicine Hat that explode like that. What nerve did you touch? Who are you? And I also wanted to say, I think we're at a really important point in the West and also Canadian history. So Jurgen, it's all yours. What were you doing there, and why did it touch people?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Elsa. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. You have such a tremendous background and knowledge. This event, the Yellow Vest event, as you know, is exploding around the world. We are seeing events happening in France. We're seeing events happening in Germany and the UK. We have started a Yellow Vest movement in Canada. I guess it's about 4 or 5 weeks old now. And people have just decided that they've had enough. And the basic premise of this movement has to be very, very clearly stated. The number one goal of the Yellow Vest movement, and people need to get this, this is so important. In France, the number one goal is to have the people have referendum. That is the number one issue. The mainstream media is claiming that it's all about carbon tax. And yes, carbon tax is one of the issues. The Yellow Vest movement, as you know, around the world, globally, is certainly having a major impact. We're seeing Macron is probably not going to last the summer in power in France. I believe he's going down. The people that have been in contact with me because of this video from all around the world is absolutely astounding. What we have done, and what I need to do, I think, first of all, so that people understand what this is about, because there's so many people misrepresenting this movement, especially the media, that are claiming all kinds of racist and bigoted things. Let me tell you what this movement is about, and it's the same in France. In France, their big thing is, number one, they want referendum so that people have a decision in making decisions for the country moving forward. They have a voice. They're tired of no longer having a voice. And that's what we are doing here in Canada. And that is the message that is resonating with Canadians, specifically in this large, massive country where we have legislated division. We have the Official Languages Act, and forever in this country, we've had a natural division, whereas we have Canada and Quebec. It's always been this natural inbred division that we need to eliminate. And I think that was the biggest part of the speech that hit nerve with Canadians, is that politicians forever have been dividing us. Whether through religion, politics, left-wing, right-wing, doesn't matter. It's all division, and it's not good. It's never about unity. And I think my message about unity is what resonated. And that's what's resonating in the world. We, the citizens of a sovereign country, want our country. We want sovereignty. We don't want open borders. And we want a say in the direction of our country. Simple, period. Nothing racist, nothing discriminatory. This is a non-partisan movement about the rights of the majority to control their destiny, period. It's that simple.
There's one thing I want to add with that. Recently, I was at a rally in Ottawa about the pact to give a right that everyone in the world has the right to migrate wherever they want.
Yes.
Okay. Most people don't know about it. So I would say another thing that we need to be fighting for is the right to be informed. So a referendum is in fact crucial, because to have a referendum means people would be informed. The media would have to report it. We'd have to talk about it.
Yep.
All of us who were at this rally, maybe 500 people or 700, I don't know exactly how many were there. There were some bus loads and everything. We knew about it, but when we had talked to people around us, they were unaware. So one of the things you're doing is you're getting awareness going. And in France, too, Macron signed this. He did not have a referendum, but at least their people had some awareness. In Canada, it was slipped in with general, utter unawareness. What is that? That's a deliberate thing. It's Soft
Yes.
dictatorship, maybe? I don't know if
The
that's the right word.
obfuscation of the press, yes, the obfuscation of the press is a major problem that we have here in Canada. It's not what they say or don't say, it's the fact that they just ignore things. They just let it slide. They don't even bother. And here's the other thing I want to point out to Canadians. We've had referenda in this country forever. And never once have we seen a question on any ballot on any issue in this country. And that's what this is about. Justin Trudeau gets elected, and now he goes around saying Canadians want every issue that I am pushing forward, which is a complete and utter lie and a complete betrayal of the Canadian people. He has no right to give our country away. He has absolutely no right to give away our sovereignty. This UN Migration Pact is a complete deterrent to our sovereignty. It takes away the right for us to have any laws regarding immigration. It's going to be the UN's laws that supersede ours. What the hell is that? Who gave him the right to do that? Nobody.
It wasn't part of the election platform. It
No.
wasn't part of anything.
No.
I remember he has done positive comments about the Chinese dictatorship system, positive comments about Castro, the beloved dictator who only murdered 100,000 people in Cuba.
But he's a great guy. He's a great guy, though. Yeah,
which one,
guy.
Castro or Trudeau?
Oh, they're all good. They're just such good people.
So
I say that because I don't want to be suicided.
Okay, so Jurgen, where would you like this to go? Do you want this to be a one-shot thing? You speak once, you've had your fill, you sell your pickup truck, and you move to Alaska.
You know, this is a battle for the ages, Elsa. No, I made my move, right?
Mm-hmm.
I already made my move. I made a commitment to come out here to Alberta. And it was...
When was that, for people who don't know?
It was originally for my sons. And this is some history so that people understand where I'm coming from in this movement, okay? I'm not a one-trick pony. I haven't just been doing this for the last couple of weeks. I've been involved in the political process for over 50 years. When I pledged allegiance to this country when I was 18 years of age, and I held my hand to my heart, and I pledged allegiance to Canada, that I would be forever a citizen of this country, pay its taxes, be responsible, do everything that needs to be done to help make this country a better place. I did it all. My parents did all of that. We did it all. And that's where I am coming from. I'm coming from a position of a legal immigrant who sees what is happening illegally and completely disagrees with it. We had to be sponsored. We had to make sure we had a job. And here's the three things we were told when we came to this country. What I was told in 1957 by my dad. I came here in 55, but he told me in 57 when I was about 8 years old. He said, there's three things, son, that we need to learn in this country for us to succeed. Number one, you learn English. Number two, you work hard. Number three, you obey the laws of the land. And those three were the fundamental key issues for us to succeed in Canada. And look what has happened. Those three key issues now, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, are coming into this country being told, number one, you don't have to learn either official language. Number two, you don't have to work. Here's a free $10,000 card. Right? And number three, you've already broken the law by coming into this country illegally. So all three of those mandates that we were required to perform to get citizenship in this country and to be respected as an assimilated citizen in this country, those are the things we did, and we did it proudly. And now we see a complete reversal of those policies. And that's a big part of why I am doing what I'm doing, because we need to get back to that. And a big part of that is by we, the citizens of this country, getting our power back. These people that we elect have no right to get into government and then declare that whatever they say and do is the mandate granted them by the citizenry.
Where would you like to go yourself, Jurgen? Because you're not affiliated with any political party, as far as I know.
No.
You have been a strong voice, both in Ontario, where you emigrated from, if I call it that, to Alberta. It's almost like they're different countries. They're so far apart. I don't think that's quite moved, where you moved.
Right.
Where would you like this to go? Where would you, I can see you want to take the power back. Where would you like to be? You gave quite a firebrand speech, which I am going to include in this, or paste it in. What I would like to know is, where could you like to go? Where would you like to go?
In this movement, or overall?
In this movement, or politically?
In this movement, politically, I would like to be a strong voice for Canadians. I'm already a conduit, I feel, for the feelings of the mass amounts of Canadians that have been forgotten, the people that are left behind, the people that see that entrepreneurship is being crushed, that our economic will to survive is being crushed. We are being led down a path of becoming this soft Western nation where gender economics are at the forefront of our policies. I mean, can you have anything more absurd than getting rid of meritocracy? Really? I mean, we need people with experience. We need to start building things again. We need to get back to the core of what this country is, and that is Canadians getting to the resources that we have, utilizing them to the best of our capability, opening up the manufacturing sector again. We need to start making things with the resources that we have. We need to stop giving those resources to other countries and saying, here, make us something so we can buy it from you. That's the worst thing that's happened to this country. And then on top of that, we need to stop this notion where the East has they get this righteous indignation about the West and their dirty oil. They need to scrap that notion. This is not dirty oil. This is ethical oil. The dirty oil is coming from the tankers that arrive in Montreal from those other countries on the other side of the planet, not from Alberta. Give your head a shake. We need a made in Canada oil and gas industry opened up for Canadians.
Keeping Canadian money in Canada.
Keeping Canada. Exactly.
Yeah, and creating
what is wrong
wealth.
With that,
creating wealth. If we didn't need any oil, if we weren't importing it, of course, no pipeline, nothing. But while we are using it, why are we using Saudi Arabia's oil? I mean, so if you want to have less oil use, that's one thing. Then you can reduce, and then you won't the pipeline will go into disuse. But in the meantime, we're taking tankers across the ocean, not a without risk business, instead of having a pipeline, much lower risk. And one way our money goes abroad, and also we know Saudi Arabia has funded very traditional Islamic Wahhabi schools that teach the most hardline Islamic thing worldwide. With whose money? Our money. We have funded an education system which is anti-West, which teaches male dominance, which teaches Islam's the only good religion, which teaches the other people are kafirs and stuff. We the people who are despised by that system are funding it. Excuse me, how can that be better than made in Canada oil, keeping money here, creating wealth here? It makes no sense. So I would see that should be, I'm sure that's part of your platform.
It is part of it. And look at the hypocrisy, Elsa. We got how many thousands of barrels of oil every day in tankers coming to the East Coast, and our Prime Minister is denying Alberta putting oil into tankers on the West Coast. What the hell is going on here? And people can see that. And that's what is driving this movement. And what you're seeing, Elsa, is you're seeing every little community in this country is hopping on board. They're all jumping in. I'm getting letters from people, how do I start a yellow vest movement? And I say, it's easy. You buy a yellow vest, you make a sign, and you go and stand on a street corner. And that's how you start a yellow vest movement. And it's that simple. And we have communities in this country that started with one guy, that now have 20 guys. They started with 5, they now have 40. We started with 20, we now have 100. Right? Pardon me?
Women are allowed to be guys too, right? The 40.
For gosh sakes, of course, exactly. Of course.
Yeah,
Of
so it's
course.
men and women, everybody's welcome.
Yes, everybody is welcome. Children, everybody is welcome. You know, one of the things, the first speech that I gave, it was such a heart-rending day, and I'll tell you why. We had so many women that were there whose husbands are working. They're out in the field. They go out, and people need to understand. They go for 21 days or 15 days. They come back for 6 or 7. You know, so they don't see their families for 2-3 weeks. I spoke to this one lady there, and she had 2 or 3 of her kids there. And I spoke to those children. I got down on my knees and I spoke to those children and I told them how brave they were to support their daddy, who's always going to work because daddy wants to make sure that you have a good life and that you have food on the table. And, you know, I'm really proud of you for supporting your mommy who is away from the man that she loves for so long every month. It is absolutely unbelievable. Elsa, I have heard last week, a couple of weeks ago, my daughter-in-law told me of 2 young men that have committed suicide in this province. And that's now close to home. I've read so many articles on how many people are committing suicide here because of what these policies are doing.
What is driving them to suicide from the notes they leave?
Well, they've had 3 years where unemployment is dropping like a rock. We've got hundreds of thousands of people now. They can't
unemployment is rising.
Their unemployment is rising, but their payments have stopped.
Mm-hmm. So they're used to being breadwinners. They want to be breadwinners, and the job would be there, but instead we're importing oil from Saudi Arabia, giving money there instead of giving salaries to people here.
Right. We want to work. We want work. And our prime minister came here to Alberta last week and said, here's $1.5 billion to help you out. No, we don't want your money. We want policies that allow us to become entrepreneurs and let us drive this market. Let us be who we are. And that's Canadians who care about the environment. Stop preventing us from doing our job. Doing what's right for the world. For God's sakes, it's like you said, Elsa, we still need oil and gas. And for this government to reject our own is absolutely, it's a crime against humanity. It's certainly a crime against the Canadian people.
The other thing that I know is certainly not helping the country is letting in a lot of people who are not adding to the workforce, who are taking money, that Trudeau, without consulting the people, opened the borders to hundreds of people that were totally safe in the United States, and the United States had decided, generally, these people have no more right to be here. So they're not refugees as in danger of death or whatever. So why are they entitled to public funds in Canada, hotel rooms in Canada? I mean, so that is also adding to the burden. So the taxes go up in that case.
Exactly.
And the jobs go down. And the people are, again, not consulted. There was no consultation. This was not part of Trudeau's policy. I will open the border and I will let anyone in who wants to come in. On the other hand, I'm just hearing there is someone, a convert to Christianity from Islam, stuck in an airport in, I forget which country right now. No country is offering her refuge. So she's stuck at the airport because if she's sent back to Saudi Arabia, that's almost absolutely certain prison and potential death. So what's Canada doing letting anybody safe walk across the border and not, for example, opening the doors to Bibi from this is another Christian woman who spent 5 years or 7 years on death row for allegedly blaspheming, which was that she allegedly drank some water from a cup before she gave it to Islamic women. And now we have this other Christian woman who's stuck at an airport and no one's offering her asylum. I would think that anyone with mercy, anyone who really cares about human life would say, come here. You've done what we supposedly are for, freedom of choice of religion. You have exercised your freedom of choice in a country where it's dangerous, and we're telling you, go back. So I think that's also part of it.
It's a huge part of it, Elsa. And let me tell you another story. I have a good friend in Ottawa whose wife is from Venezuela. And it's a nightmare over Christmas. Her brother has been coming here for years for Christmas. This year he was denied a visa to visit his sister.
By Canada.
By Canada. He couldn't come up to visit, which he has been doing for years. They denied him a visa to visit for Christmas. These are people that are really going through hard times in Venezuela. And yet, like you said, we have a government that has a wide open border. And here's another issue with the wide open border that most people are just, I don't know what it is. The blinders are on big time when it comes to this. We hear constantly about Roxham Road, okay? That's all they've done. They filtered all of this illegal migration thing down to Roxham Road. The media has completely overlooked Manitoba and completely overlooked British Columbia, and there is still a gag order in place. If you believe the numbers they're telling us, then I've got an oceanfront property here in Alberta for sale for you, because the numbers must be absolutely astronomical compared to what they're telling us. They're only telling us about what's happening on Roxham Road, and they've been doing that now for a couple of years. The gag order is in place. We have no clue how many. Don't tell me.
This is not a free and open democracy. This is not citizens getting informed.
Elsa, do you think that those people in California are going all the way across the United States and crossing at Roxham Road? No.
What
They're
makes
coming
me think
across.
that the answer is no. Yeah.
Well, they could be, but my bet would be is that they're going straight north and coming through Vancouver.
Yes.
Right? We don't hear any of that. None. What about the ones coming through the middle of the United States in Manitoba? Nothing about Emerson anymore. It's a gag order.
There used to be. That was some of the initial people coming in the hundreds. Yeah. And now you are so right. There's like a silence. That doesn't mean that the border has been closed. It means that the media has decided to close talk on it, which means the government has decided to close talk on it.
Yeah.
What is that? That's not a democracy. That's an anti-democracy. That's what I call, again, soft dictatorship. It's a dictatorship without saying it's a dictatorship. We're doing what we want. We just won't bother informing you. Exactly. You know, and the taxes will have to go up, because somebody has to pay for these people. Or what are you going to do? Cut off housing to people who are here? Cut off food and shelter to people who are here? What do we do? I mean, if we looked in Europe, one of the very effective things was Denmark. The cut benefits, I think, by in half for the first few years, and then no citizen if you've been citizenship for 5 years if you've been on welfare, and all kinds of things. And all of a sudden, nobody wanted to take refuge there. They said, well, we'll go Sweden, we'll go Norway, etc. In other words, the people, it wasn't refuge, it was we want a really good free ride. What would it be if Canada just said, okay, you can come in, but you know, if you're here for a couple of years, you don't get any benefits.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I said earlier, right? We had to be sponsored and we had to have a job or we couldn't get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are not people in desperate need. These are not people who are starving in the United States. They're not, you know, fleeing oppression in the United States. No, they're people coming to Canada illegally. Okay.
We now have two federal agencies that we pay taxes to break the law. The RCMP and the Canadian Border Services are both breaking the law, and we are paying taxes for them to break the law.
But they're breaking it due to the government. Like, they're not deciding on their own to break it. They have been given orders to break the law.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to be back I'd like to think of you in about half a year or a year. Do you see yourself at the head of a political movement, part of a political movement? Just a voice, or do you see yourself joining to be a stronger force?
Dr. Ritchie, many years told me that I need to be a powerful voice, right? Dr. Ritchie was my mentor at the Human Rights Institute of Canada. She just passed away a couple of years ago. I was on the board of directors with her at the Human Rights Institute of Canada. She told me years ago, Jurgen, you need to go to Alberta because Alberta will be the last stand for Canada. What I'm doing here right now, I think my mission here right now and where I'm going to be, where I might be, my push right now is for Alberta to declare English as the official language of the province. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to do that. Number one, declaring English as the official language would not only protect Alberta's English language heritage, it would also send the loudest possible message to Ottawa. Ottawa understands two things. They understand legislation and they understand money. The legislation, if we were to pass, just think about this. We take Quebec's Bill 101, we do exactly the same thing in Alberta. The politicians in Ottawa will fall backwards in their chairs. They won't know how to react. They will be absolutely gobsmacked. They won't know what to do. We will have them at our advantage because they will be totally unprepared for a province in this country to declare English as the official language like Quebec did for the French language as soon as the Official Languages Act was passed. People need to understand what happened here. The federal government passed the OLA, and within 6 months, Quebec used the notwithstanding clause to say we are not going to be bilingual and we are protecting our language. And now we're in a situation where we have people coming into Canada being told they don't have to learn either language. So in my mind, the only language protected in this country right now is French in the province of Quebec. So it's time that one of the ministers says, that's it. We need to protect the English language, bang on, not only for our people, but to send a message to Ottawa that we're not going to lie down anymore. We're going to protect our own people. And through this language thing, I think, Elsa, we would make such a massive amount of noise, they could not reject us.
Brilliant. I'm all for it because I know that the bilingualism movement has gone against the kids who take the bilingual stream. They usually end up not speaking French. And the second thing is education is supposed to be about really learning mastery of a language and really also enjoying reading in that language. If you go and put kids who are English at home, English on the street, into a French stream at school, one, their math skills are demonstrably lower as long as they're taught in this second language, French. And their English reading skills are so low that they don't take pleasure in reading the classics. You don't get bookworms. You don't get readers. What you get is people who read comic books because then they get the picture of the story. This is not. So in other words, it works against the kids. The primary purpose of education is not to learn a second, third, or fourth language. The primary purpose of education is to educate, to lead you out of not knowing. Great that you learn. I, by the way, speak 5 languages, and I love it, and it's fabulous.
Right. Yes, it is.
But education was there in one language, and I learned to love reading. I adored reading, and I read really brilliantly in English, and in two other languages I read well. But my greatest pleasure is reading in the language that just flows from me best. And so I really want an education system that puts education at the forefront. And by the way, it disadvantages both kids who are in the unilingual stream and in the bilingual stream. The bilingual kids don't learn the pleasure of reading. The others learn that they're second rate. So because when you two-stream things, it's the top kids go in the bilingual, and those are the kids who would most likely enjoy reading. So much is cut off from them. And as the other ones, you are the dumb kids. You can't make it. You can't do it. This is not a good way to stream. And you're not officially streaming. No. But all the kids who are taking English only know they're second stream kids.
Absolutely. And here's the biggest disappointment of all of this. We've had the Official Languages Act for 50 years. And you know what? The percentage of bilingual Canadians has remained stagnant. It's 16 to 17%. It has been for 50 years. And we spent more than $1 trillion. Jim Allen did an accounting in the 90s, and I remember I saw that. And he had figured it was over $1 trillion we had spent by then. So I can't imagine what it is now. And now we even have little machines that you can put in your hand and it can translate the language for you. So why are we not giving frontline workers these things, and then they can deal with anybody in any language, right? Rather than have legislated human communication, we have machines to do it for us. And that way it decreases the tax burden. Hello?
Yeah. If the bilingual programs were really effective, that would be great. What I'm saying is they are a dud. They do not work.
Useless.
I think less than 5% of the people who are in it 5 years later are really, truly bilingual.
Don't use it, they lose it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't use it at school. So on so many levels, I know this is not number one. I love your idea, number one. Let's make Alberta officially an English-speaking province.
Yeah. Or Saskatchewan, whichever one, doesn't matter.
Perhaps they don't have control, though, over the payments to Quebec. Does Alberta have any right to deny payments to Quebec?
I'll tell you what. If a certain person gets elected this fall, then those payments are going to stop.
And it won't be Trudeau who would stop it.
That's how I feel. If the status quo continues for Alberta, this country will break apart.
I'm in favor of that. We do not need to have non-democracy in this country. And what I'm seeing is a Canadian government at the top level that is not to the benefit of the citizens.
That's right.
And things that are supposed to work one way don't work. People are by and large not informed. We have a media that doesn't inform. Jurgen, I want to wish you the very best of luck. I want to come back and interview you again in maybe, what do you say, 3 months, 2 months? When would you like me to interview you again?
Hey, whenever you like, Elsa. I'm always here for you. Okay, you just let me know. If there's one thing I may say before we go, and that is, it's very important right now, I think, that the people in the eastern part of Canada understand what is going on here. The West has been alienated for far too long. We had a prime minister 40, 50 years ago, Pierre Trudeau. He gave his middle finger to this part of the country. We are proud Canadians. The pioneer spirit is alive and well in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We have hardworking men and women here that just want what is right for them to be able to provide the very necessities that all of you require back east. We are one in all of this. This is not an east versus west thing. You need to get your yellow vests on, and you need to support your fellow Canadians in a massive way. This is our one opportunity to make changes that can affect your children and grandchildren for the future. They are already in massive amounts of debt. And we need to change that now. By alienating Alberta and getting rid of our oil and gas, it is not a positive move. It is not going to be beneficial. And I want you to think of one thing. If they win and they eliminate our oil and gas, where are all of us going to get our oil and gas from?
Thank you, Jurgen. I'm waiting for your next brilliant pickup truck speech. I know you've done another one, but I mean the next one that goes viral and you know, so I'm just looking for the next big move, and then we can talk again. This is a huge pleasure. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Great to see you, Elsa. Ciao.
Great to see you too. Bye.
Bye.
Listen, this is the culmination. What we're doing here today and what they're doing around the world is the culmination of decades of failed government policies that trample on the rights and the freedoms of every one of us. Incrementally, step by step, they have taken our freedoms. This is more than about the pipelines. This is more than about Justin Trudeau. This has been going on for decades. The push for a one-world government has put us all into this position where we need to rise up and say, no, we want our country. We want Canada. Justin Trudeau has no right to give it away.
Nope.
We want Canada.
Yes.
The United Nations will have boots on the ground in this country before you know it. He signed that migration pact, and now every one of those people that the UN designates to come to our country will have more rights than we do. Because they will be under the United Nations mandate, and they will be given preferential treatment to you, your wife, your daughter, your husband, and your son. This is the theft of Canadian identity. This is the theft of our unity. The diversity is strength mantra is the biggest lie to ever be perpetrated on the people of the planet. Unity is our strength.
Yes.
Unity under a diverse society is our strength.
Yep. Yep.
Not diversity. Check it out in the dictionary. Diversity is division.
Yeah.
That's what they want. That's how they control us, through the division. Black, white, tall, short. It doesn't matter.
No.
They're pitting us all against each other, and we have to stop it. East against West, Quebec against Alberta. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Into Canada. We have Canadians in Quebec. We have Canadians in British Columbia. We have Canadians all over this country that stand up for this country. And that's what we are doing here today. And that's what we're doing all across this country in the next while until it all stops.
Yes.
Until we change it all. And the indictments are coming. Hillary was indicted last night. Yes. It's time. And we can continue this until they make the necessary changes. Our Prime Minister will be the next to go.
Yeah.
Mark my words, it's coming.
Yes. Good.
Go Canada. Go Medicine Hat. You should be very proud. Per capita, this is the most patriotic city in the country, right here.
Yes. Yeah.